Hello everybody and welcome back to a new video. Today we are going to make a little how-to of our style of kitchen knives. The knife that we are going to do today is a full-tang Western chef knife. We're gonna make this as simple as possible for you to maybe build along or for you to understand the steps behind all the knives that we do. So the steel that we are going to use is this 2.5mm thick 1.2419, that's a high carbon, high tungsten steel. It's a great performance steel for kitchen knives that we use on our daily basis for our low to high end kitchen knives. We are starting this by tracing the shape of the knife that we want to have on the piece of steel. We are using sheet metal as our templates because we do them quite often, and so our usual designs are done on sheet metal and not just by paper and glue them on. You can also take a spray paint and glue them on, as you've maybe seen in other videos that we do.
Spider-Man!
And the reason why I'm doing this not with a Sharpie but with a scribe, when you grind away on these lines, first of all, the Sharpie's thicker, and second of all, put it into water and put it out again, put it into water, put it out again while grinding to the shape. You maybe lose Sharpie line, but you won't lose the scribe line. Next step, cut out the profile with an angle grinder or with a bandsaw. I personally prefer the angle grinder since it's a faster method. So as you can see, cut the shape of the knife, very rough. The detailing I will do all on the belt grinder, because grinding with the belt grinder is pretty fast and pretty easy to do. So the rough grinding is done, so our outer shape is now nearly finished. The only thing that we are going to do is come in here with a small radius wheel. Since the radius are now done, it's now time to think about where we put the pins for the full-tang handle. So what we always do is 3 pins per handle. So our handle should be going up till here, this whole way. So we mark our first pin about 15 millimeters before the front and about on this tip here, this small tip here, in this height, the second pin. And normally you would think right now, I'm going to put it right in between those two in the middle, but we personally don't do that. We put it a little bit more to the front. So this here is the middle, and so we put it just a slightly bit, like 5 mil more to the front. We kind of like that aesthetics. And then here, middle, middle, and inline. So we're gonna put our 3 holes right here. So it's clamped in the vise right now. And why am I clamping it this way? That's a pretty easy answer, because when you clamp it this way, the rotation, if a burr is going to catch in the drill bit, it will rotate with the machine. So if I have it on this side, because I'm drilling like this, it rotates to the back. So it will be caught up by this. And I'd rather have it caught up by this than have it the other way around and being it catched with my hand. Since we're using 4mm carbon fiber pins, we use a 4.1mm drill bit. Yes, it's a little oversized, but so we have a little bit of room for errors. Now that the pinholes are drilled, it's time to do the epoxy pockets, how we call them. There's small little holes in between that go through the whole tank. There's two reasons to do that. First of all, weight reduction. We take a little bit of weight out of the handle because otherwise the balance isn't there where it should be. Second reason, the epoxy, when you glue on the scales later, has a little bit more surface to anchor on. You have a better glue up that's holding on tight. The epoxy pockets I'm using right now, a 7mm drill. You can use pretty much every drill that you want. You can use a 10mm, you can use a 3mm, you can use a 5mm. It just depends on how many holes or how many epoxy pockets you want to do. Did you like and subscribe? No? Do it. Do it now. Thanks. So now that the drilling is done and I deburred the holes, it is now time to put our maker's mark in and do a small little pre-grind before heat treatment. The blade, we are always stamping them on the right side of the knife, this upper corner. So we use hot stamps and cold stamps. Cold stamps are CNC made, good for the people who don't forge. Hot stamps are available from Tobias Hangler at a very great price. No, he's not paying us. I wish he would. Toby, $200, I'll do it. No? Toby? Stamping this right here. Since it's cold, we use the CNC milled one. So now that the blade is stamped, it's time for our pre-grind. We do these on our Oliver Tobin belt grinders. So it's just the lower centimeter. We don't grind a lot. We just grind a little bit on the lower side just to thin the material out a little bit. I'll still leave it as thick as possible so it's not getting warped as bad, or if even. So now that the pre-grind is done, we still have about over 1mm on the edge left. So it's time to put it into the heat treating oven. It's heating up to 820 degrees Celsius. We keep it there. From reaching this point, another 10 to 15 minutes. Keep the temperature on hold so it can soak into the steel. And then we're gonna quench it in our heat treating oil. We personally use a Duraxol W25. This is our preferred medium of heat treating oil. And after that, it's going into the oven to temper at 170 degrees Celsius for 1.5 to 2 hours. Since the heat treat is done now it is time to do the final grind on this piece. So, welcome to Grinding Basics with Martin Huber. What do we want to achieve with this knife? Of course, it should be a knife that's cutting good, that's thin, that's lasery, but still workhorsey. So, we want to have a grind that is the center like this, sides like this, and meat. So you want the grind to be even on both sides, perfectly to meet straight in the middle, in the center of the knife. So what are we doing when we're crooked on one side? Like this. So you have a smaller radius here than you have here. It's pretty easy. You just start to grind more on this side of the blade, so you can set the grind. To make it more even. It's a little tricky to do grinding. Grinding is the one thing at knife making where you need the most practice. So practice, practice, practice. I would personally recommend when you start knife making, try to do a lot of small blades. Example, something like this. A hunting knife, small blade, easy to grind. Do a few of those and then start to do bigger blades. Most people I see do the one thing that they want to start out knife making and start to make these huge knives from the beginning. Start small, work your way up. You can also do at the beginning of your knife making career is scribe a line in the middle of the blade where you want to grind to. We don't do that because we are used to grinding. We do like 300 to 500 knives a year, so we're used to grind stuff like this. But when you're starting out and have problems to hit the center, scribe a line, grind to that line, it's easier for you. So now I'm finished grinding with the 40 grit belt, and what you maybe noticed is that I turned the knife a little to the side, so I hold it a little on an angle. Why do I do that? Good question, easy answer. It's because I have more surface area on the grinding belt when I do it, hold it like this and not like this. Because if I hold it like this, I only have this much surface area. If I hold it like this, the surface area gets taller, and so the whole blade is going to be straighter at the grinding. And I always do one side, one side, one side, one side, and always switch around. So first of all, it doesn't warp as bad. And the second reason is I keep the grind nice and even on both sides. So don't grind one side until you're finished and then the second side until you're finished, because like this, it will pretty sure warp, or you grind uneven, or you grind on one side too much without noticing. So keep them even on both sides. So what I'm going to do next, now that I have ground the knife with a 40 grit down to about 0.3 millimeters, I'm gonna switch up the belt, going to the next final station. And one thing that's also important to notice, in my opinion, is the finer your belt, the lower your speed. So with a 40 grit, I go to about 70% to 50% of the power of the grinder. With the finer belts, I go down to 40, 30, and keep a steady, slow, and cool grind. I'm finished up until the 120 grit, but did you see something else at the grinder again? Did you see it? What I did again was changing the angle of how I ground the knife. Why do you ask this time? But you have less surface. Exactly, but you grind against the other grind lines. That means you can see if there are any deeper scratches that are not going the same direction that you're grinding now, that are a little crooked to that, what you see here right now, or that there are still deeper scratches left, and these deep scratches can ruin the finish or can make you have a very, very bad day at hand sanding this knife. So, changing the directions of how you hold the knife while grinding helps you with that, and it's a pretty easy step to make your life easier. Finished with the 180 grit, I'm now going to do the Scotch-Brite, but that's just a typical Scotch-Brite and nothing worth to be mentioned. Talking about finishes, there's a few different ways that you can finish your knife. There's etching, gun blowing, keep it monosteel, do a satin finish by hand, do everything. There's hundreds of possibilities. What we are going to do is we're gonna black out this blade. I put the knife into ferric chloride for about 5 to 10 minutes. Make it really, really nice and dark, so we have a nice black patina on there. So the knife is now completely blacked out and we're finished with the part of the blade. So that's it for this video. On the next episode of How to Make a Chef Knife, Chris will show you how to make a full tang handle for this blade. So thanks everybody for watching. I think I've earned this. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.